Welcome to Fraser 365. Over the next several days, we're going to be hearing from some of our mission partners about how they heard their call into mission work and what they're doing today. We hope, as you listen to each day, that you'll be asking God to reveal where He may be calling you to work in ministry and mission. Today's story is from Rebecca Pazmiños, who works in Ecuador, as she answers the question, how were you called into the mission field?
Hi, Fraser family. My name is Rebecca Pazmiños, and our family serves with One Mission Society in Ecuador. And the story of how God called me there is maybe a little different from most. I grew up in the high Andes Mountains of Peru, where my parents were Bible translators in a small indigenous community. And I loved my life in Peru. I loved the work that my parents did and still do, but I did not want to be a missionary. I wanted to live somewhere with carpeting and Snicker bars and not have to say goodbye to my friends all the time. And I received Christ as a young child through a story about forgiveness that my mom read to me. It was called Treasures of the Snow. And as I became a teenager, I began to sense that God was calling me into the discipleship of surrender. I understood, but I did not want to accept that being a follower of Jesus meant my unconditional and total yes. That I would go wherever God wanted me to go, do whatever He wanted me to do, and obey Him in whatever He asked me to obey. But here's the thing. I didn't want to. So I told Him several times, Jesus, I will surrender completely to you and do whatever you want tomorrow. And tomorrow became another tomorrow and a few more after that until I finally gave up. And I told Him, okay, God, whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, you have my yes. But please don't make me be a missionary. I had the idea that if I surrendered completely to God, He would say, ha ha ha, now I got you, and I'm going to send you somewhere you'll be miserable. Why I thought that? I don't know, because God had been so good to me, and yet I doubted His plan. But what I discovered was that God wasn't waiting for me to surrender to Him so that He could make me miserable. No, He had a plan for my life that was so far beyond what I could have imagined and would bring me so much more joy than if I had pursued my own plan. And He led me to OMS while I was in college, and I came to Ecuador for a summer internship program. Those 2 months led to 2 years after I graduated, in big part because I watched 2 single missionaries on the field and the way that they served. And I thought, if God calls me to a life of singleness and it looks like them, I could do it. I could find joy and fulfillment like they have. His plan ended up being different for me, and Pablo and I were married a couple of years later. Pablo has his own story of how God broke through his reluctance to go into ministry, as Pablo would say, with a kick in the seat of the pants, to lead us to decide to obey and then to obey together. We've been married now for 23 years, and we have 3 awesome kids. Elizabeth, who is 18, Johanna is 16, and Mateo, who is 10. Our missionary walk has looked different than we might have expected, and there have been struggles and challenges for sure, but God is good all the time, and I wouldn't have it any other way.